Warning. The following video presentation contains scenes of extreme deliciousness. Failure to either eat first or bring a snack to consume during the presentation could result in wanting to lick the screen or in some way act the fool. Ain't nobody want that. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, boys and ghouls. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Oh, Scott2572, long time no see, buddy. Wolfie Metal Beast, welcome, welcome. Lumpy Pickle, always good to see you, buddy. I saw Queen Beef herself is lurking while she's playing some games. Welcome. Happy to have you hanging out in the background. I see Avocado Green KitchenAid. Yeah. How's everyone doing? Hope people are doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. It has been a hey, you're kidding me. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. It has been a busy week. I mean, I haven't streamed since last Saturday, but I've been busy doing stuff in the background. And it's been productive. It has been mildly frustrating, but it's been good. So far, we've made positive movement forward, which is fantastic. Relaxing and enjoying the weekend. Awesome. Glad to hear it, buddy. Yeah. So, like, it honestly started out with me swapping out the main drive on our computer for a new one and kind of dealing with that whole thing. But thankfully, everything went off without a hitch. And it's also safely backed up in 2 other places, just in case. So, hooray for redundancy. And, yeah, I mean, the drive itself isn't any faster than the old one. It's just 5 times larger. Because the main drive just didn't have any available space on it. It wasn't very big to begin with. But now it's like, hey, I can actually install a program without freaking out about it now. Which is kind of nice. Yeah. Did that, got some stuff set up on that end so that I can finally start doing something I've been talking about for a while, and that is shooting food video reactions. So I've gotten stuff pretty well set up for it. It means having to transport some equipment from in here to where the computer is set up, so then that way I can shoot them at the desk. However, I've gotten basically what I needed to sort it out for that. So my plan is to probably start recording some videos on Monday. Whether or not I'll stream it on Twitch, I'm not entirely certain. More than likely, at least right at the very beginning, I'm gonna record them, edit them, and stick them up on the YouTube page. So then that way they're there as kind of like standalone things, and I may end up uploading them to Twitch a little bit later for, people to watch if they'd like. Hello, DKIT, have you tried turning it off and on again? Exactly. I did many times, Lumpy Pickle, and unfortunately that wasn't the issue. But thankfully a drive migration program that turned the new drive into an actual bootable drive, that was kind of the, that was really the big thing. So, yeah, big news. New hardware. came in. Did that not fire? Let's try that. There it is. I don't know why that didn't fire for you, Scott, but there's a link to all the socials, including the YouTube page, etc., etc. So VOD from today will end up being on there tomorrow. But my hope is that I can knock out enough of them to where I can kind of keep multiple videos going up throughout the week, just for more things. So then that way you can kind of hear me pontificate about all sorts of weird subjects and videos and things like that. So it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it because there's been a few videos recently that I've watched that I've either just been like, yes, 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 or just total facepalm. And it's been pontificate. Yes. Just want to make sure it was subscribed to YouTube. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. So yeah, big stuff is ahead, and we're moving forward, so that's good. But yeah, had some hardware changes, which have been fantastic. One sad note is so you may remember that I've had a TV sitting here. I don't know, like a 40-inch, I think is what. I don't remember what size it was, but it was my mother-in-law's old TV. Had it sitting up here using it as an extended monitor. Well, it has decided to start glitching, and so I doubt it's going to be worth actually trying to repair, because it wasn't a terribly expensive TV. But if I can find a part for it at a sort of reasonable price, that'd be great, because it was really, really nice having the TV here so I can look at a large chat. But it's okay. I do have a screen here so I can see chat, as opposed to looking at myself over here. And so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Sort of the state of the tactical snacking. So, but today, since it has been for the last couple of days, oh my gosh, it decided it wanted to rain. I think it was, what was that, Thursday? I think it was. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was Thursday. So Thursday started out beautiful, sunny, ended up being, I think it topped out around 77 Fahrenheit here. Beautiful, gorgeous day. Thursday night, it hasn't rained that hard in a very long time. Like, it literally sounded like somebody turned a fire hose on the house. Kind of crazy. So, and it's been kind of rainy and gray ever since. And I thought to myself, you know what? Haven't made jambalaya in a long time. Jambalaya is something that I think would be really good on a day like today, where it's a little bit cold. It'll kind of warm you up because it's got a bit of heat to it. You know, stimulate the taste buds, and it's just a delicious thing that, like I said, haven't made in a hot minute, and so I'm just kind of looking forward to making it again because it'll be yummy and delicious. So, April showers bring May flowers. It's June, right? It's like we were supposed to be done with that already, but nope. The recipe for it, as well as for the jambalaya, as well as the creole seasoning, is actually up on the Discord. Let's see. There we go. There's the links that have just popped up in chat for you. So then that way you can have a look at them and make them yourself. Now, since your kitten is here, this is going to be a gluten-free recipe. There is no wheat flour to be seen anywhere. The only grain that is in it is going to be rice, and that's it. So to the best of my knowledge, there isn't any wheat flour, gluten, or anything like that in the andouille sausage, which, for those that don't know, andouille is a type of sausage that is synonymous with Louisiana specifically, and it is generally made from not only pork, but twice smoked pork. So it's like they take the pork, they smoke it, then they turn it into a sausage, and they smoke it again. And it's got some heat in there, and it's a fabulous sausage. I highly recommend, if you can find it. That's one of the kind of the big ingredients in the jambalaya today. Thankfully, our local butcher, they make it on the regular. So I picked some up last time I was there, and I got them right there, ready to go. So we'll have that for today. But the creole seasoning that's going into it, it's a saltless seasoning, like most of my, actually all of my seasonings. And I'll show you right now. So this is my jar of it with the recipe that is on the Discord. But yeah, I just have it on the jar. And even though I have some here, I'm like, you know what, let's make some more, because most of the time, you know how you get some of these seasoning blends, and if it's not like a general or all-purpose blend, it's like, oh, okay, I only use it for like a couple of things. So this is something that I put on my popcorn quite a bit. I don't put... I'm not a big fan of just putting salt in my popcorn. I use brown butter, which is just butter that you've melted to the point where any of the water that's in it has completely evaporated off and the milk solids actually start to turn brown and nutty. So I put brown butter and I put some of this on there, and it's awesome. I've been doing it for years, and I realize I've been saying quite a bit. And as well as Mrs. Hueso's chilling back there on her laptop. She's not feeling too hot. She'll pop up a little bit, but she won't be quite as active in the kitchen as usual. So first thing we got to do is we got to make some more of this. And like I said, since the recipe is on there, you can follow along, and it's in parts. So then that way, whatever, it scales to whatever size batch that you're going to make. Little, small, whatever, it doesn't really matter. So let me crack this open. In fact, I'm going to get got the back up. Oh, yeah. Canning funnel for wide mouth jars. Wasn't quite sure if the wide mouth would actually fit on this jar because it's a non-standard one that I've got from somewhere. It might have been like a jar of pickles or something like that. I don't know. But that's what I've kept it in for I don't know how long. So, alright. Let's have a look at the recipe. So, first thing I've got on there is garlic powder. So, most of the time when I'm making seasoning blends, I usually, if it calls for dried onion or garlic, I usually use granulated because I like the bigger granules. But in this particular circumstance, powder is actually going to be the way to go. For today, I'm just using a tablespoon. So 4 tablespoons of garlic powder. And you may see that I've got my spice grinder here. And that is because there are some solid spices that we're going to need to grind up. So we'll mix all those together and grind them up. Okay. Garlic powder, measured. Then 4 parts of the onion powder. Teaspoon, tablespoon, shot glass, jerry can, you know, whatever. 1, 2, 3, a 3. This isn't a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop. That is an old commercial. Mr. Adam, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? Well, let's find out. And, it's okay. Yeah. Alright. No, is it? Alright. Next up, sweet paprika. As opposed to smoked or hot Yes, but if you look down the ingredient list, you'll notice that cayenne pepper's on there. And honestly, the difference between the hot and the sweet paprika is kind of mild. The hot paprika tends to, not spicy hot, but more of a, it almost has a slight bitterness to it, whereas the sweet paprika, the way that they process it is different, even though it's the exact same peppers that they use. And as a result, it leaves some of the natural sweetness in there. Okay, so now, thyme. I got dried thyme here. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons. I'm dropping them into the spice grinder. Get them ground up. Then oregano. And that's 2 parts on that. This is Italian as opposed to, Italian or Greek. As opposed to Mexican oregano. And basil, that's 2 parts. Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is. This is literally a KitchenAid coffee grinder that I picked up at, I think, Target. Honestly, you can kind of use whatever you want, but this one is used only for doing spices and everything. So, I've had it for, I forget how long. Yeah, probably since before Mrs. Weso came into the picture, so it's been a few years. Black pepper, 1 part, but because the peppercorns are kind of big and round and there's a lot of empty space, when it comes to just using raw peppercorns, I tend to go about 1.5 on it. So then that way, once they're actually ground up, it takes up about 1. But if there's a little bit more in there, it's not going to hurt. To be honest, and all of these measurements, this is just kind of a guideline. If you like it a little bit spicier, then definitely toss in more cayenne pepper. Cayenne or black pepper, because they're both going to give you a slightly different type of burn, really. Okay, so that is all set. That's in there, so we're going to give these a grind. That describes me, big and round and mostly empty space. Yeah, I kind of, I don't know. I've got a lot of stuff going on in here, so I don't know if I'm necessarily empty space. But this could get a little bit loud. So if you're have headphones or speakers, you might want to turn it down just a touch, so then that way it doesn't get completely blown out. I'm looking out for the viewers, because I don't want to, blow out your eardrums. Save it for, going to a show. Get them blown out there. So. Clearly, I've had this for a while since this has decided to come detached. It still works, though. Oh! Chubby Viking! Thanks for the gift sub, buddy. Alright, let's look at that. That's looking pretty good. I mean, there's some bigger pieces that are still around of either the oregano or the thyme a little bit, but I'm okay with having a bit of texture to this. Alright. Get rid of that. And now we just mix. Per good chemistry mixing instructions that I received back in my college days, we do inversions. And then twist. Full inversions and twists. That's how you get a good mixture. I know it looks totally weird, but I guarantee you, like in college chemistry labs, when you're trying to do a complete mixture using flasks or whatever, you had to do like full inversions and let whatever you were mixing actually get all the way down to the bottom. So then that way, because even looking at it now, you can kind of see that it's still not 100% mixed up. I don't want pockets of anything. I want a total even. Yeah. Let's look at the bubbles. Woo. No bubbles. No proof. Okay. There we go. We've got our mix. It's fine.
I'm gonna go over there and start seeing.
Completely uncut Creole seasoning, 100% pure. Yes, not to be confused with the Cajun seasoning, which is a whole other discussion. If you're not from Louisiana, and this is a mistake that I've made previously, but I have since learned, we tend to call Cajun and Creole, we tend to think that it's kind of the same thing, just different names of sort of the same whatever. They're actually really different. Your Cajun is what would be considered more of the country type folk that would that came down originally from French Canada into the Louisiana area and settled, and that was their that's their culture and their cuisine and everything. Creole, on the other hand, tend to come through like the Caribbean. There's a lot of Spanish and yeah, through the Caribbean really is kind of where the Creole line comes through. And the way that you can tell a Cajun versus a Creole jambalaya apart, since that's what we're making, is a Creole one will have tomatoes, whereas a Cajun one will not. We're making a Creole one because there's going to be tomatoes in it. So, okay, we've made our seasoning. Let's put this stuff away, because now we need to move on to the prep for everything else. And thankfully, this is a pretty easy thing. Hey! No problem. Thanks for popping by, Accidental Chaos. Huzzah. Okay. Next up. If you take out your recipes, folk, and have a look, you'll see that one of the first things that we need to do is we need to debone some chicken, get it into the bowl here, and toss it with a bit of the Cajun seasoning, or the Creole seasoning, sorry. See, I even made that mistake. So for this, I'm gonna want to debone and de-skin it, and we're gonna hang on to the skin. I have plans for the skin, and when the plans finally come to fruition, yes, it'll be lit. Hey, thanks, Chubby Viking. Yeah, the plans that I have for the chicken skin, I'm very excited about. I will say, just to kind of put this to rest initially, Scott Connor, aka the Punisher, sent me a link to a story posted by America's Test Kitchen. The woman that made the video and put it up made a sandwich, effectively a BLT, but instead of using bacon, used chicken skin. She salted it, hit it with pepper, and baked it in the oven, and put it on a sandwich instead of bacon, which for me was like, okay, that's, you know, kind of a no-brainer because I'm a chicken skin fan. That is not what I'm going to be doing with this chicken skin. Mrs. Oeso knows what's happening with this, and I think it's fair to say that she was horrified. Well, you were horrified when I told you what I wanted to do with it.
Okay, I was a little horrified.
She was. She looked at me, she's like, wait, what? She's like, no, she was genuinely kind of horrified that I.
Ask for explanation.
Yes, and then I'm like, and then I told her, no, it's different. And so I was like, oh, okay, fine. So, I'm hoping that my creation will be ready for Tuesday, maybe. If not, definitely Thursday. And it's something that I'm gonna be very proud of, because that's just kind of the weirdo that I am. So
The skin mask?
maybe it is the chicken skin mask. And he's like, look at me, I'm chicken skin too. And then I'm gonna want to go put the lotion in the basket. Alright. So, all I did was pull the chicken skin off. You saw it. It just needed to be trimmed in a couple of places. Because on thighs especially, I mean, it's only attached in a couple of spots. When it comes to deboning it, which I've done a bunch of times, you can see on the back of the thigh, and I'll kind of go over it again, there's a line of fat right there that literally runs down the length of the bone. And so all you do is slice right through there and go to either side of it and clean it off. It's a pretty easy task, especially when you've done it a bajillion times. If you've never done it before, I can totally understand how it can be a little intimidating, but like anything else, it's just practice. I mean, we know phenomenal guitar players. They didn't get that way just the first time. It took years of dedicated practice. Well, this isn't going to take years of dedicated practice, so it'll probably take you a few packages of thighs. And a good knife. Yes, a sharp knife is definitely very, very important. Yep, it does save money. Plus, you get chicken skin, and you get bones. I'm just using the back of my knife down the bone here in order to get the meat off. There's a little bit on there, but I'm not too concerned about that. I'm just going to end up using the bone for stock anyways. So I'm okay with that. And since we want this in kind of bite-sized pieces... Oh, hi, puppy! Yeah, those are good. Ah, I would imagine. Well, he's last time I checked, he's stationed in Japan, so probably early morning would be my guess. no! Completely forgot this flap.
Almost 9 a.m.
Almost 9? Okay. 9 a.m. Sunday. I don't think the Japanese do brunch per se.
They do dim sum,
Oh, there you go.
right? Don't they? I guess ramen. How many can find a ramen place?
I don't know if there's any that are open really in the morning. Even the late night ones are usually closed. At least by this time. Okay. I appreciate you calling out comments and stuff for me, babe. That's okay. Well, honestly, at this point in time, I'm going to say probably not. Only because of the fact that there's really nothing for you to do with them. You know? Yeah, and that's a huge help. There you go. Alright. Chicken skin, bones. Alright. Let's drop about a tablespoon of the creole seasoning that we just made in there and get that mixed up. And we'll hang on to that because we're gonna need it later. And to be honest, if you don't want to season the chicken up like this first and add it in later, it'll be fine. Since it's going to be... You'd be adding the seasoning later on anyways with the liquid as well as the tomatoes and everything. So it'll have a chance to actually cook in there. This is just an additional step to kind of let some of the flavors and everything else soak in. So, alright. Chicken ready to go. Since I have this board out, since the board is got chicken on it, now would be an excellent opportunity to cut up the andouille sausage. So then that way, I'm not, because I'm already gonna have to dirty up another cutting board for the vegetation. I've already got that, so. Alright. So the andouille, I think the recipe that I have written down calls for about a half pound. And the chicken, it calls for about a pound. The chicken I weighed ahead of time, and it was over, so by removing the skin and the bones. And it's, you know, if there's a little bit of variance, it's fine. 1/4 inch rounds. And yeah, I can see, you know, there would be those that would be kind of freaking out about cross-contamination right now, but because this is going to end up being browned along with the chicken, I'm not concerned about the possibility of cross-contamination / salmonella. Yeah, they're going to be cooked together at the same time in, you know, the same pan, and it's going to be fine. Yeah, exactly. If you're putting, really, the stuff that I would be most concerned about is anything that you're using to, say, garnish, so like the green onions for the end, like those I would absolutely not do on here. But if you ended up chopping up the onion, the celery, and the green bell pepper on here, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But all that chopping I usually prefer more space for. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just chopping these up into 1/4-inch rounds. And this, if I remember correctly, is a bit more than a 1/2 pound, but I didn't want to just leave, you know, like a single sausage or anything hanging out, which is why, like, I'm making it now. Alright, so that's ready. Leave that off.
Not lucky.
Alright. Okay, hands are washed. Stuff is rinsed. Let's prep. Planning! Alright. Got that for vegetation. Actually, bring the chicken back over there since that's just hanging out. Green onions here. They look a little.
Let me back in. You never want just a little sausage.
No, you never want a little single sausage hanging out. That's never a good time. Yeah, so the green onions here, a little bit janky. They've been kind of kicking in the fridge for a little bit, but they will work for our particular purposes. I'm not. Yeah, it'll be just fine. But I'm gonna put those in a totally different. Since these are just gonna get sprinkled on at the end. Rib of celery. I don't have a yellow onion. I just got white since they were actually cheapest at the market for all things. But all I'm doing is I'm chopping up my green onions now because it gets them off the board. Then we'll get to chopping up everything else and measuring out the liquids and all that fun stuff. Okay, green onions done. I'm actually okay putting that bowl on the cutting board right now because I totally sanitized the counter before we started streaming. Mrs. Waze is my witness. She saw me do it. You watched me sanitize the back counter here?
Yeah.
Alright. You smelled it. Alright, rib of celery. So, for those that may not be super familiar with Cajun Creole cuisine, and I'm not super familiar with it, but this is a basic that I kind of know. The onion, celery, and green pepper here is what's known as the Trinity. It is their equivalent of what the French would call mirepoix, meaning onion, celery, and carrot. But for whatever reason, green bell pepper took the place of carrot, and that's just it's a foundational flavoring for the bulk of the Cajun and Creole cuisine. So that's a fun little food fact there for you. I'm just dicing up the celery. You know, it's interesting. I can't say I'm a huge, celery fan. It's there, it's whatever. but I do notice it if it's not there in something like this. Because it just... There's a certain note that it hits that when it's missing, it becomes noticeable. Alright. Top and bottom it. Nice. Just go through and cut where the ribs are. There we go. I washed these ahead of time, so. Okay. Green. You could easily use red, yellow, orange, kind of whatever color you want. Green is the standard pepper that gets used. You know, I don't know the history, so I don't know for certain like why green. Like, why that particular one? It could be something as simple as the green ones were the ones that grew the best there. It could literally be just that simple. Green ones grew the easiest. That's what they had. That's what they worked with. Okay. Mrs. Hueso is on the Google. Or Creole, because they both tend to use the exact same for this, the green pepper. And after you find out, I think you should come do your book report to the class here. You're now in the ASMR portion. Thanks. Okay. So this particular recipe for jambalaya, I'd been looking for a good one. I wanted to find one that was pretty true to New Orleans, and in kind of reading a bunch of recipes, I don't know. There were a number of them that just, for whatever reason, they just didn't sit right with me. Like, it didn't feel quite right. And so I reached out to an old high school friend of mine who is from Louisiana, and I said, hey, do you happen to have a recipe, you know, something that, you know, your family makes or whatever? And so he pointed me in the direction of, I think it was this one initially. Or it was either that, or I asked him, I'm like, you know, would this be considered, you know, pretty authentic? Is this something that, you know, if I were to serve you, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is definitely jambalaya. You wouldn't, you know, necessarily take offense, be like, no, this isn't jambalaya, you Yankee fool, or something like that. And he was like, yeah, no, that's, you know, basically right on to what he and his family would make. So, okay, Trinity chopped up. I went to the restaurant supply place. I bought some garlic. I'm very happy. It's a lot of garlic in its own little plastic bucket. It's the little things that make me happy. So, I've got garlic. I think my recipe, if I remember correctly, calls for, I think, 3 cloves. 3! What can I say? I like garlic in my jambalaya, so I'm adding a little bit extra. Let me grab it since it gets added in a little bit later. Okay. All right. Go. Okay. Doing a nice little chop chop. Processing. Processing. That's a new thing we've started doing. It's like when you're trying to put your thoughts together and you're silent because you're thinking, and we're just like processing. Processing.
I want to acknowledge people too. Like, I heard you.
Yes, exactly. It's like, I heard you. I'm processing.
Okay. It sounds like it's green peppers because that's what's the first to appear. That, so they first start green, then left to ripen, they go to yellow, and then to orange, and then red.
So really what you're saying is that all peppers are basically the same, just at various stages.
Yes. And the earlier stage, the more bitter, the later the stage, the sweeter.
And the latest stage being?
Red.
Red, okay. All right.
Yay!
Huzzah! So, hey! Saucy's here! What's going on, man? Let's see. Anything else? Garlic, pelper, cup of rice. We got our tomatoes. Got our can of diced tomatoes here, so we're good to go there. Now it looks like we're at the kind of the liquid and everything else. So, all right. All right, let's read through our instructions real quick, just because I want to make sure that I'm putting things together that need to be put together. Okay. Chicken, done. Brown the chicken and andouille. Okay. Trinity, with the garlic. For some reason I thought that came later. Okay. Add the rice, tomatoes, remaining tablespoon, hot sauce, add the chicken broth and bay leaves. Okay. So it looks like really everything else ends up being added more or less at the exact same time. Okay. That makes life a little bit easier. I haven't made it in a while. I don't know why. I just didn't bother to let me, double check the instructions just to kind of see where everything is at. Alright, let's get our long grain rice. Making noises to myself. So, for this at least, long grain rice is what you're going to want to use. Hey, thanks for the follow. Blockchain Professor. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, you're going to want to use long grain rice. In a perfect world, you would use Louisiana Grown or Carolina Gold, specifically, which is an heirloom rice variety that has been coming back. The only place, at least I can't get it in the regular stores here. However, you can order it online. I would imagine that Beef and anybody over on the East Coast would probably have an easier time of finding Carolina Gold in a market, but it's still going to be on the slightly pricey side because it's kind of an heirloom, like I said, it's an heirloom variety that's starting to make a resurgence. All right, rice. You need a couple of bay leaves. I believe it's 2. Yep, 2. All right. And the rice. For the chicken broth, in a perfect world, I would say use a homemade chicken stock if that's what you got. Definitely go that route. It will make a difference in the final product. I do not happen to have any chicken stock at the moment. I thought about making it, but ran out of time. Not the seasoning. So I'm going to go with our favorite Knorr chicken bouillon powder. Since I got 2 cups, this is actually going to be 2 teaspoons, but instead of mixing it into that, I think. No, let's add it in. Okay. Processing. So that will give us sort of the right strength. Alright, so we got that. So now we need, let's see, our Louisiana style hot sauce, be it Tabasco, Crystal, there's a couple of other varieties. Personally, I'm a big Crystal fan, so I'm going to add about a teaspoon or so. On the recipe, I have it listed as like between 1 and 2 teaspoons. It really comes down to your own personal heat preference, and to be honest, I prefer to err on the side of being too mild, because I can always add more hot sauce at the very end. I can't make the burning stop. So if you think about it that way, it's like, okay, if I make it on a little bit on the mild side and just put hot sauce off to the side, it's all good at that point. So we got that. We need Worcestershire sauce, and I believe that is it. And another tablespoon of creole seasoning, but that is that. Not sure where the jar of the good stuff is at the moment, so about a teaspoon of Worcestershire. Worcestershire. Okay. Add that tablespoon of that, and then get it mixed up. So when we go to add it, it's all ready to go. All right. All the players, I think, are ready to go. Let's take all of this over to the stove. that
Hey,
yummy
that was in
goodness.
the dishwasher.
It was.
I
But
just
first,
washed it.
I'm so used to raising it up because my mic used to be above where the camera is. It's now below for ASMR drink.
And we're both having a drink break.
Cheers.
Yours sounds better. Sorry.
Okay. Pardon me, darling.
You're pardoned.
Thank you. Just wanted to stir up the liquid here a little bit. Okay. On the recipe, you will see listed 2 tablespoons of butter or neutral oil or something to that effect. Oh, it's not working because I didn't flip it over to it. That's why. Okay, now we got it. Butter, neutral oil, some kind of fat. Bacon fat would be a great one to use. I, however, have rendered chicken fat here. And that's what I'm going to use. Well, actually, it's schmaltz because I did cook it up with the onions. Schmaltz is a wonderful thing, and if you've never used it or heard of it, I highly recommend you give it a shot. It is, most of the time, if I'm de-skinning chicken, it ends up being turned into schmaltz. Because it is yummy and delicious, and for this especially, it's absolutely perfect. All right. Can you smell it? At least here I can totally smell the chicken and the onions that were in it because it was slowly cooked for a decent amount of time. There we go. Oh, forgot to mention. Processing. I got my half-pound of shrimp that I've been thawing. They're already peeled and deveined, which you can easily get at the market. So that's just what I did. Fuzzy? Better? All right. I got this going in kind of the big non-stick wok that I've got, which works for me, and I've got a lid that fits. But if you make it in like a Dutch oven, that works perfectly too. I also happen to have this 14-inch skillet, which would be perfect for this. Something nice and white. Paella pan actually would work really good too. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you got a Dutch oven, go ahead and make it in there. And the vessel you make it in will actually make a big difference. Hey, Night Songs, thanks for the resub. Yeah, although you're thinking of something totally different. But, making it in a Dutch oven versus a skillet's going to yield a different product altogether. Because if you think about it, a large, wide skillet is going to have a lot more surface area, and so it's going to turn out a lot more like a paella in that you'll have kind of that crispy stuff at the very bottom, a lot more of it at least. Whereas a Dutch oven, it's not going to be nearly as wide, and so it'll be a thicker, and you won't have quite as much of it. And so it just ends up having a slightly different texture. How you decide to make it is completely up to you. I'm going with this because it's big enough and I got the lid and it's clean and, you know, there you go. Alright. Chicken is looking and smelling excellent. And Dewey in. This is going to render out some great tasting fat, as well as some color too. Oh, she back? Does it say Bethula got back? Bethula got back. Which actually reminds me, Bethulu, did you ever get that electrical issue that you had with your place fixed? I don't remember ever seeing a follow-up to it. I remember you were having these electrical issues with the house. I was just curious if you ever managed to get those fixed. Sizzle cam, baby. Or you can go for the action cam. What sounds better? Sizzle cam? See, the color of the oils kind of turned orangey yellow. It's an excellent sign. All right. Now, for the Trinity. I am going to be a little upset if nobody makes like a Matrix joke. Yeah, follow the white rabbit.
How do you make a Matrix joke?
Where's Neo? Whoa, I know Kung Fu. Yeah. But Neo, you can't die. See, the Oracle told me something too. She said that the one that I fell in love with would be the one, and I love you.
No, stop talking.
Make it stop. Hi, little girl. There you go. Okay, we're almost at the stage where we can add in liquid stuff. Cringe. Yes, very cringe. Alright, that's ready to go. Alright, let's add our rice. Okay. The rice looks like it's sufficiently covered. So, in the recipe, you let this go. After we get the liquid in, we slap on the lid for a total of 15 minutes. Then we add the shrimp and let it go for another 10. But about halfway through that 15 minutes, we'll take the cover off and give it a stir. All right. Beauty. That is looking straight up delicious. Smelling excellent. Alright. Yeah, and as soon as this comes up to a full boil, we'll slap on the lid, turn down the heat, and start our timer. Well, so now that that has started, I am thinking that a little salad would probably be a good idea. That's what I'm thinking. So, let's see. That. Handful of these. Hi, little girl. Yeah. So I'm thinking just a pretty simple little tomato cucumber salad with some red onion, and we'll dress it. I'm gonna skip any oil in the dressing. I'm probably gonna go for just straight up rice vinegar and just kind of toss it up a little bit. Maybe hit it with a little salt, maybe a touch of sugar, just to kind of take the edge off of the vinegar bite. Yeah, I think that's the plan. I don't know, I didn't think too hard about it ahead of time. I was just like, yeah, we should probably have a salad. Let's make salad. Earlier, as I was standing at the pot, after I added in the rice, and the reason why I gave it, stirring it like I was, is especially for something like this, getting all the rice coated in the fat that's in there is a good thing. So then that way it doesn't clump up, because clumped rice is no bueno. I don't need a whole lot of red onion, just a little bit, I think. And that will be good. Thinking maybe. Chicken fusaders. Thanks for the follow, dude. Right now, I'm just making a little side salad to go with the jambalaya that's on the stove. I've got my timer currently set for 8 minutes, and then we'll give it a stir. Set it for another 7 or so. And then we'll add in the shrimp. Let it go for another 10 minutes, and it should be ready to go. What am I thinking? Probably about 3/4. Yes. There we go. Need to leave at least a little bit of the cucumber left over. Made hummus the other day, and hey, G Money's here. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Salger, yes, it is a Parks and Rec reference, Lumpy Pickle, and I absolutely understood it, because Leslie and Ben are sitting in JJ's diner having that conversation. And they're like, and she's adding the salt to the sugar, and if I remember correctly, it was right after Ben lost his job when they came out of their relationship. Not that I've watched Parks and Rec, multiple times, because I have. Parks and Rec's an awesome show. We were playing with chicken skin a little bit earlier there, Grant, and I'm thinking Tuesday, I'm going to have a little chicken skin project ready to go. And it's going to be glorious. I'm very excited about it. Mrs. Hueso is a little horrified about it. But
well, not anymore.
Not anymore. But she was when I first told her what I wanted to do.
Uh-oh.
What do you do? Whoa, playing with chicken skin without me? Yeah, I playing with the chicken skin. In fact, I rendered out chicken skin this past week, and it's what I use for the fat in the jambalaya. Because rendered chicken skin, chicken fat, is very tasty. And in jambalaya especially, it's really good. Sorry, baby, I'm gonna have to go get another cucumber from the market. Because you like... No. Because I made hummus, and you like cucumber on the veggie sandwiches that you make with the hummus. It'll be okay? Mrs. Waso says hello if you couldn't hear. She's chilling and back. She's not feeling 100%. So she's here, but like IRL lurking, if that makes sense. I'm only going to use a little bit of this. I don't want a ton of onion all up in here. Actually, if I had any of the pickled onions that I had made, those would be great ones. Yeah. I don't want big old pieces of onion, I just want tiny little slivers. That, I think. No. You know, I'm kind of thinking that by itself needs just one little addition. I'm thinking maybe a little parsley would be good. Oh, there's the timer. Help if I did that. Giving it a stir. Alright, it is looking and smelling real good. Is it? Or the steam at least? It's not smoke, it's not burning! Steam, not smoke. Let's be clear. It is not burning. Yes, I know this is just random license-free synthwave, but it makes the stream feel sci-fi RPG. Like part of completing the next quest is to watch me make jambalaya. You know, that could be... Oh, you're just training at the moment. Okay, right on. Yeah, I kind of thought about that. It's like, I can totally see how it would be... It's like, okay, it's like a side quest to see the next thing, and you're just kind of onto it. Almost like I'm thinking of like the old school, what was that company? I think, was it TSR? I think was the company that used to make like a lot of the old Dungeons and Dragons video games that were like, you know, play by turn kind of thing. That's kind of the video game that I have in mind, or like the really old school Shadowrun. Like, Shadowrun would be kind of perfect for that sort of scenario. If you don't know anything about the game, Shadowrun is it takes place in a future reality where it's very much cyberpunk with, like, cybernetics and everything, but there's also a spiritual / magical side of things, too. So it doesn't, like, completely limit you to, like, okay, we're just going this tech route. There's, characters and abilities that harness like the spirits and everything. It's a cool world, and unfortunately there's never really been a great video game adaptation of it, but it's a cool system. It's a cool world. I really like it. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. Yeah, I'm thinking a little parsley would be good with salad. Just a little bit. Oh, really? This jambalaya isn't completed in time. The president's gonna get assassinated. I have to complete the jambalaya in order to save the free world.
We should have like little puppets pop out of nowhere.
Yeah. Little puppets pop up. That's right. It'll be dinner theater. You will make a pot of jambalaya if you want him to live. Hey, Night Song. Night Song was lurking, I thought. Alright. Those guys are good to go. Yeah, I'm thinking a little rice would be good for this. I was just thinking, you know, when I put the jambalaya together, the recipe I have, if I remember correctly, actually calls for a bit of salt, and that's really sort of a guideline. If you remember, I didn't add any salt because I was using that chicken bouillon powder that tends to have a fair amount of it, and even though the Creole seasoning doesn't have any, there's some salt that's in kind of that hot sauce, the Worcestershire sauce. There is salt that's in there, and most likely I'm going to end up having to add some, but most of the time when I'm making stuff like this, I tend to make it and hold back on the salt until like I've had a chance to taste it and be like, oh, okay, this definitely needs some more, and I can mix it up and stir it in. So then that way I'm not adding a ton of salt to it. Since Mrs. Hueso has been told that she should kind of relax on the salt intake. Well, and that's just it. Is if you can taste the salt, you've added way too much. You shouldn't be able to taste the salt in whatever it is that you're making. You should, it should be seasoned, but you shouldn't taste salt. And it is a fine line, and it's one that takes a lot of practice in order to actually get to that point where you're like, okay, I've, gotten to the point where I've added just enough to where it is seasoned, but I'm not eating salt. The way that it was at least explained and people were told to do it when I was in culinary school was by making a small batch of mashed potatoes. That was like the best way to kind of figure it out. It was Night Songs. I'm like, okay, good. The snack bot replied appropriately. Hopefully it's shouted out Grant when he rolled in. But what you do is you make these mashed potatoes, unsalted butter, milk, whatever. But no salt in the water, no nothing. And you taste it, and you see just how incredibly bland they are. It's like, okay, so you add like a pinch of salt, mix it up, try it again. And you keep doing that until you get to a point where you're like, okay, that's pretty good. But then you keep going, so then you can kind of see, okay, this is what that threshold of seasoning is before you get to I'm eating salt. And then they tell you to push it so you can actually taste the salt, so you know what it is that you're working with. Okay, time to add the shrimp. It would help if I did that. Steam is still messing with the camera. Seems to be fine. This is just a half pound of medium-sized shelled, deveined, detailed shrimp. There we go. Okay. So about 10 minutes or so, this should be good to go. We'll check it then to see, make sure that the rice has been has completely absorbed the all the liquid. So then that way we know it's done, and then we can dish up and eat. And the salad is just kind of hanging out right now. So let's see. Oh, you're on the phone. No worries. My buddy used so much salt that he brought the salt around the table. Yeah, that's exactly seasoned but not salty. It's a good adage for life too. That's a good point. You need to know what oversalted tastes like. Yeah, and really, that's honestly that is one of the biggest things in cooking in general is knowing kind of what that threshold of seasoning versus salty is, and taking it to a point where you're comfortable and it actually tastes good. And for me, it's taken years in order to get to the point where I'm comfortable adding salt without necessarily having to taste, just because of experience. I know it's okay. Well, given this volume of whatever it is that I'm making, I kind of know, and it's one of those skills that you really have to experience yourself in order to really understand it. And the same thing too is that everyone's taste buds are different, and so would be seasoned to me is super salty to somebody else. Namely my cousin's husband, who's a doctor, and has almost completely eliminated salt from his diet. So anything that has any salt in it, like, he immediately recognizes. But man, between this workout and this stream, I'm sure I'm getting hungry. See, Grant, this is why there's a warning label in front of the stream about either eating ahead of time or bringing a snack. Consequently, when the intro was running at the very beginning, the warning came up, and Mrs. Williams was like, oh man, I should have gotten a snack. And so it was like, okay, well, I had about a minute at that point, and so I went and grabbed her a chocolate milk out of the fridge and took it over to her. It's a protein drink that happens to be chocolate flavored, so it just sort of worked out.
I'm not eating pure junk.
No, she's not eating pure junk food. It's actually like a high protein milk drink. Oh, hi puppy, you're back. Hi little girl. Hey. Good little girl. This big guy's still hiding out the bed. Well, little girl is here. She actually sat closer. She almost walked to the garage. What was that? Last night? Hi. Now she's like, I'm in play mode. Salt is important in her diet, though. No, you're absolutely right, Night Songs. Salt is a necessary ingredient in our diets. We need it. Thankfully, most of the time, your bodies can kind of get rid of the excess. Not everybody's can. Through sweat, through whatever. So, and then there's also all kinds of salts. It doesn't necessarily have to be like table salt. Sodium chloride, there's other different salts that will work too. Hey, I drink a lot of chocolate milk. Haha. Yeah, hey, chocolate milk, yoo-hoo, whatever. No, this is it's a protein. It's made by Darigold. So it's called Fit Milk. So
Yeah, low sugar, 25 grams of protein.
yeah, low sugar, high protein. It's something that it's a pretty easy grab for. Menu. I'm back. Okay. Hey, welcome back, Accidental Chaos. Yeah, chocolate milk. I add sea salt. Yeah, there you go. Well, and sea salt is gonna have. She running around.
Got the zoomies.
Oh, little girl's got the zoomies. Sea salt's gonna have those kind of additional minerals, depending on how refined it. If it's like straight up like solar evaporation sea salt, it's probably gonna have some minerality from where it was harvested, as well as things like naturally occurring nitrates and nitrites, which is kind of a buzzword if you shop at Whole Foods. They're like, no added nitrates or nitrites, but what they don't tell you is things like celery and beets contain really high levels of naturally occurring nitrates and nitrites, which are the two things that get added to cured meats most of the time. So like if you go to the market and you get like deli ham or something like that, and the reason why it remains that sort of color is because of the nitrates and the nitrites that are in the curing mix for them. And what they do is help prevent spoilage and help it last longer. So a lot of times, especially, this was the case when I was at Whole Foods, the meats that we had at the counter were made by, these different companies. They all said like no added nitrates and nitrites. However, if you read the ingredient list, you'd usually see like beet powder or celery powder or something like that. And so yes, there were in fact nitrates and nitrites in there. It's just they were coming from these sources as opposed to being manufactured. And when you see like uncured meats, when you have that cut face, you see that it'll change color and kind of brown out and darken up. And all that is just oxygen binding with the surface of the meat and diffracting the light. So then that way it gets that sort of oxidized look. Having those nitrates and nitrites on there, if there's the proper amount, you don't get that sort of oxidized face because it blocks the atomic surface so that oxygen doesn't really have a place to bond to it. Chemistry. Yes, we can deep dive into that. Same thing, that's why like when you go to blanch like broccoli by itself kind of has that kind of dull gray purplish look sometimes. If you go to blanch it and turns that vibrant green, it's because you've liberated all the oxygen that's bonded to the surface of it and caused that diffraction of light. Science! What's a jambalaya? Okay. Actually, you know what? I haven't. I think I've effectively assumed that people kind of knew what jambalaya was. So, jambalaya, in this case, we're making a creole jambalaya. There's an important distinction. If it were a Cajun jambalaya, it wouldn't have tomatoes in it. Creole ones do. They're two distinct... I don't know if I would necessarily... I suppose you could potentially call them ethnic groups within Louisiana. The Cajuns are descendants of the French-Canadian people that came down from that area of Canada and settled in the Louisiana Territory, whereas the Creoles, their ancestry sort of came up through the Caribbean by way of like Spain and France, but then they came through the Caribbean. And there was also the heavy African influence that kind of came up, and so you have these, somewhat like I said, I guess maybe ethnic groups might be the best way to describe them. But jambalaya is a dish that has, in our case, chicken, a specific type of sausage called andouille, which is from Louisiana, and it contains pork that has been smoked, then turned into sausage, and then smoked again. And then there's also a whole bunch of seasonings, including like cayenne pepper in it. So it's got that, and it also has shrimp. But it's a one-pot meal, so you've got these different proteins. You've got your trinity, which is their version of a French mirepoix. So instead of mirepoix being onion, celery, and carrot, your trinity is onion, celery, and green pepper. And that forms kind of the flavor base. And there's that and garlic, and then there's a whole bunch of different seasonings. We made a Creole seasoning blend, which is here. The recipes can be found there on the Discord. So there's actually in two different posts. The Creole seasoning is one post, and then the jambalaya recipes in another one. If you can't find andouille sausage, for instance, what you're going to want to find is effectively a smoked sausage, really is what you want to use. Kielbasa, not necessarily. Okay. So let's put the camera on this real quick, and then we'll get back to answering that question. Okay, we are almost there. We've got a little bit more liquid that needs to be absorbed, but we're really close. Okay. So you've got this flavor base, you've got this protein, you're adding in rice, you're adding in chicken stock, as well as all the seasonings, and so it becomes a one pot sort of dish that is relatively inexpensive to make and can feed a lot of people. So it's incredibly popular, and there are restaurants that have made their names on jambalaya alone down in New Orleans and Louisiana in general. But yeah, if it were a Cajun style one, it wouldn't have tomatoes in it like this one does, which is the Creole. Just, it comes down to historical ingredient availability and stuff like that. So you get into like food history and stuff like that. For me, it's a fascinating subject because food kind of defines people in general. Hey, thanks for the bits, G-Money. So, okay. Oh, Saucy's out. Okay, have a good one, Saucy. Take care, buddy. As opposed to and don'ty. Yes, you're correct, Lumpy Pickle. And we'll get to the stew thing real quick. But back to the sausage substitutes. You're going to want to find just a smoked pork-based sausage. That's going to be kind of the best one. Probably the second closest variety to andouille that, if you can find it, would be a Spanish chorizo. Not a Mexican one, but a Spanish one. Because they tend to be a little bit drier, which is really kind of what you want. Whereas kind of a Mexican chorizo is a really loose, crumbly, kind of a fresh sausage. Whereas a Spanish chorizo is, kind of cured and smoked, which is probably going to be the closest thing. If all you have is kielbasa, go for it. So in terms of ingredient substitution, that's kind of the way to go. Are the Spanish ones still spicy hot? Actually, no. At least the ones that I've had, not so much. I was lucky enough when we were still living down in Southern California. There was a producer in LA called Doña Maria. When I worked at Whole Foods, we actually carried a number of their products. But their their kind of factory was actually in LA, and they had a store, and so I was able to actually go and check them out and get stuff. And they sold things like Jamon Iberico, Serrano ham, which are cured hams. But they made a whole bunch of like Spanish chorizos and things like that. The Spanish chorizos that I've had aren't spicy hot, but there are spices, like a lot of pimenton, paprika, things like that. So there's a lot of flavor, but it's not like, oh, my mouth is on fire. It's just like, oh, there's a ton of flavor. So yeah, the Spanish one would be the way. And Dewey's gonna have some cayenne in it. That's just the nature of it. But it's a heat adjustable for those. I prefer to add heat later on, since my heat threshold versus Mrs. Hueso's heat threshold is going to be different. So, like, I'll end up adding more hot sauce to mine, probably. Gotta head for dinner. I'll be back. Okay, take care, G-Money. Have a good dinner.
Yeah, G-Money.
If you heard Mrs. Hueso. Thanks for the bits, buddy. Take care, and we will see you Monday, I believe. I believe that's the case. It's Monday. So, yeah. So anyways, yeah, Jambalaya, big old one-pot meal. And it comes, like I said, I mean, it comes together quickly. I mean, I didn't have to chop a heck of a lot. I mean, like deboning and deskinning the chicken thighs. You can buy boneless, skinless thighs and just cut them up. Whereas, you know, I skinned them for other purposes. That and I'd also have the bones, so then when I go to make chicken stock at some point, I've got those on hand too. But, yeah. That's what we got going on. L'chaim. Yeah. Are there any other questions from the class while we have a few minutes? What's the difference between jambalaya and gumbo? They're two very different beasts. They're very different. Gumbo would be closer to what I would actually call a stew, because it's thickened with either okra and or gumbo filet, which is pounded up sassafras leaves. So it has a thicker consistency. So that is actually would be a stew. It also involves making a roux, like a really dark roux usually. So that's a stew. Back to Lumpy Pickles thing. At the very beginning, the question is whether or not jambalaya is like a soup or a stew. And I said it's technically neither, in my opinion. And the reason for that is soups are going to be relatively thin, whereas stews tend to be thickened with, you know, be it a roux or something else. The liquid is being absorbed by the rice, and so it's more of a one-pot meal as opposed to, hey, I'm eating a thickened liquid with stuff in it. This is stuff that is absorbed the liquid. So, in this particular case, jambalaya, in my opinion, is neither a soup or a stew. Just so. What was your favorite thing to cook when I first started getting into cooking? Yeah, it is effectively a rice dish, Night Songs. I mean, rice is in there, but there's a whole... Because of the amount of things like shrimp and chicken and andouille sausage and everything else, rice is in there, but rice isn't the primary ingredient. If it was mostly rice with other stuff, then yes, I would say it's totally a rice dish. But in this case, it's a mixture of a bunch of stuff, and rice is there as a supporting cast member, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Getting into it, it's like now we're really kind of splitting hairs. But back to Accidental Chaos's question. What was my favorite thing to make when I first got into cooking? If I think back to when like really started spending time in the kitchen, the one thing that I would make over and over and over and over and over again was chocolate chip cookies. That was the thing that I made, you know, more than anything. And I would honestly say to this day, I've probably made chocolate chip cookies more than I've made anything else in my life by a pretty decent margin, because I was making them easily once a week for a long, long time. And it got to the point where in making it, I knew where things were at by looking at what was going on in the mixing bowl and what the status was and how it looked and how it felt. So I knew, like, okay, this isn't, you know, something is wrong because it's not achieving this very, okay, yeah, there you go. It wasn't reacting the way that it normally should. Here's a good example. I'm going to go stir the jambalaya real quick and we'll get back to that kind of story.
Nutcha!
I think we're almost there. Probably a couple of minutes and we're good. Oh! Okay. There's a... In the making of the chocolate chip cookie recipe, the one that I grew up with, there's a stage where you've creamed the butter with white and brown sugar, and you've added vanilla to it, and then you've just added eggs, and you get that mixing. The way that particular mixture looks when it's done correctly is a very smooth, kind of a tan-colored mixture. Okay, so it's literally like butter and eggs and sugar and all this stuff, right? You haven't added any leavening agent, so no baking soda, no flour, no salt at this point. If the butter was too warm, you actually can see a separation of the fat from everything else. And so it almost looks like it breaks a little bit. And you know at that point, it's like, okay, you need to either whip it longer so then that way the eggs have a chance to kind of emulsify and bring everything together. Or if the butter was just right, it just comes together beautifully and it has this amazing consistency. And I would always taste as I went just to kind of make sure, you know, that things were where they were supposed to be. And I loved it at that stage because it just had this, I mean, here I am eating effectively raw eggs, but that stage when like the sugar was completely integrated and it wasn't grainy at all and it was totally smooth and it was phenomenal. And then, you know, in my opinion, we'd ruin it by adding flour. But then cookie dough in my household growing up was always the goal, not the... That was the end point. It was like making cookies was like, okay, yeah, fine if you want, but cookie dough was always the thing, and it still is. So, yeah, that was probably my favorite thing to do, especially when I was coming up in age. But I mean, it's always been kind of all over the place, in that it's like, oh, this is really cool, let me give this a go. This is really cool. And I was never like, okay, this is my thing. And it's a question that I've been asked a lot, is what is my favorite thing to make? What is my signature? What is this? And I've always had a really difficult time answering it, because I don't think of myself as having a single thing that it would be my defining dish. This is my thing. This is, you know, my signature. This is my favorite thing to make. Like, I don't really think of it like that, because I love cooking and I love learning and I love doing things that I've not done before. And so it's, hey, I've never made this. Let's give it a shot. I'm not afraid of, trying out totally different things and ingredients that I've never used before. And so, I don't know. It's so definitively, I don't have a signature dish. I just don't. And that's mostly because there's not like any one thing that I'm like, this is my thing, and that's that. It's like, no, I'm open to, basically anything and everything. At any rate, this should be good. And I think the camera froze. Yeah? Yep, camera froze. Because it still thinks the lid's on. Gotta love technology. Alright. Let's... get this out of the way. Here we have our jambalaya. We got our salads. Yeah, and this, what's chilling on top here, it's not actually like liquid, it's the rendered out fat from the chicken that was in there as well as the andouille sausage. So yeah, this is looking and smelling perfect. There we go. Pull out the bay leaves. Okay. Ready to get it on, baby? Ow. Ow. Shove food in our mouth. I'm hungry, sugar. Let's dish it up.
We're gonna get it on camera. Here's a spoon.
Nice. Spoon.
That looks pretty hot though.
Yeah.
Smells good.
Yeah, it smells real good. So now, hang on.
I thought you were trying to lose weight.
Lay off me, I'm starving.
I'm hungry.
No, I had a snack, so.
Yeah, she had a snack. I did not. There's our beauty shot.
Money shot.
Money shot. Which, I don't know, did I...
You talked about it, I don't know if you did.
I talked about it. I don't know if I actually made that happen or not.
It's a quote from a TV show called Parks and
It's
Rec.
from Parks and Rec.
And Brandy Max, star of 200 adult movies.
Just this year alone. I can't scroll. Can't tell. I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if the money shot redeem is in there. I don't know if I got it set up. I don't think I did.
I'll check in a minute.
And we got our salads too.
I'll go check. Because this is too hot to eat.
There we go.
That is bland. Surprisingly
Thanks,
bland.
Scott. He did bland. That is bland.
David! What does burning smell like?
That is not bland.
What we need
And in
is
fact,
good taters.
I would go as far to say as I don't think this needs any additional salt.
Potatoes.
It does, however,
Boil
need
them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
more green onion. But seasoning-wise, I'm very happy with the way that it's seasoned. If I didn't think it was seasoned very well, I'd definitely add more salt. Yeah, I know you were kidding, Scott. It was just really funny. It made me laugh, so thank you. Your thought?
Very good. This is probably the best time you made it. Excellent.
Thank you.
The first time I had jambalaya was in the French Quarter, which was incredible.
I have a pretty high standard to live up to. Because, yeah, the first time that she ever had jambalaya in her life, it was in the French Quarter. It was just post-Katrina.
No.
Yeah. No, it is really good.
Yeah, this is excellent. I'm not
It is
just
really
saying
good
that.
night songs.
Like, I'll tell you flat up, like, nope.
Oh, yeah, no, and this is something I actually had to, please don't misunderstand. This is something I had to kind of train her to be like. No, because whenever I make stuff, and because I tend to be a large, loud, imposing figure, I say to people, listen, if I want your opinion, I'm going to ask you, okay?
Yeah.
I'll be like, let me know what you think.
The truth.
And I want the truth. I don't want you to mince words. I just want you to be honest. You're like, you know what? This is missing something, or this is awful, or whatever. I just want the truth when it comes to this. And I don't take offense to very much, but I take offense to when people don't tell me the truth when I ask them to.
Yeah, especially since you can't grow if people don't tell.
Exactly. Like, if I'm asking for honest feedback, I want honest feedback. And again, I don't take offense very often, but when I do, it's usually because I've asked for somebody to be honest with me and they've not been. So, just as a kind of an FYI. Anyways, Mrs. Weso in the beginning, you know, concerned about my feelings and things like that because, you know, that's how she is. And that's so
Who cares?
Exactly. Now it's like, who cares? Well, and it's taken time, you know, because...
No, I'll tell you the truth.
No, yes, you will now. You used to not necessarily.
Well,
I know, but that's okay.
It is okay.
It is. That's what I'm saying, though, is that it's taken time. Because, let's be honest, most of the time when people ask for your opinion, they're not really asking for opinion. It's lip service. They're just like, tell me that it's good. You know, they're not actually asking for it. At least that's been my experience.
Right.
That when people ask for, you know, your opinion, they're just, you know, they just want to hear that they did a good job or they did it right. They don't want the actual truth. And, I mean, you don't have to be a jerk about it, but, I mean, you know, if it was just like, okay, this is good, I think I could use a little salt, or, you know, I would prefer it with a little bit more heat, or something like that. There's a way to give that feedback without just being a jerk about it. It's just like, you know what, this is what I think, this is what I feel. And honestly, I don't care. You can come at me like a total jerk, like, this is garbage or whatever. Well, that doesn't tell me anything.
Garbage.
You know, tell me what, you know, specifically. So, but not everyone's like that.
My no filter mouth, Scott, has gotten me into trouble.
My no filter mouth has also gotten me in trouble. Basically, anytime a manager has ever asked me what I thought,
yeah, this is very good. There's just enough heat. It's not too spicy.
They don't want to know what I think.
It's got good flavor.
It's like just the right amount of mouth warmth.
Uh-huh. But it's not overwhelming.
It's just finished and it's hot. More of the spiciness, that kind of heat level. Like, there's a warmth there and it's lingering.
Yeah.
But
my throat's not on fire and I'm dying.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm not sweating bullets.
I'll still have to take a couple of Tums later because you're over 30.
You're old.
Because you're old and anything with the spice level above water, gives you heartburn. I don't recommend getting old, kids. It's a trap.
This is really good.
Yeah.
I like the andouille's got like almost a crunch to it, like a bite.
It's a snap.
A snap is a great word.
Yeah, snap is the best way to describe it, I think. Hey, I'd be stupid. Welcome, welcome. You've gotten to the mukbang portion. What you can't see is Mrs. Hueso's fishing out the shrimp.
Well, I need to accurately portray it.
Mrs. Hueso loves shrimp.
I didn't have much Rebito sausage. I need to tell you the truth.
It's a sausage fest in your bowl.
Well, some people like.
It's true. But you have a sausage fest going on, so you need a little shrimp.
Mm-hmm. See, the shrimp aren't overcooked.
No, they're not.
I needed to be able to tell you that.
Mm.
Yeah, and this came together fast. I always thought jambalaya is one of those that needs to cook all day. For a good one.
Well, the actual cooking of the jambalaya really doesn't take a heck of a lot of time. What can take a lot of time is if, you're starting out by making chicken stock from scratch. Things like that. But
are there other ingredients you would add or like that are... So I went to Boise and some friends there, they made jambalaya and he put ham in his.
We made a southwestern steak breakfast skillet with hand-toasted bagels for our dinner tonight. That sounds excellent, I'd be stupid. That kind of sounds a little bit like what I made for lunch, where...
You be smart.
You be smart. I had roasted up some potatoes on Thursday that were super creamy and some of the best potatoes I think I've ever made, to be honest.
They're yellow potatoes.
Yeah, they were Yukon Golds, but when they were done, they were incredibly creamy, and they held like that. So we had leftover potatoes. I chopped up, fried up bacon, and I've made it was effectively campfire potatoes. Bacon with onion, mushroom, and bell pepper sautéed up, and then the potatoes. There was also garlic in there and stuff like that. But it was especially delicious because those potatoes were just phenomenal. But you could easily throw in, kielbasa, some kind of sausage. Have I ever made beignets? You know what? I have not made beignets before. I've eaten beignets. I've enjoyed beignets, but I've not made them. Stick it on the Discord. That would be a fun one to make, I think. Haven't made mashed potatoes in a long time. Maybe 2 Thanksgivings. Wow, that was a long time. Yeah, I didn't make mashed potatoes. I did a roasted potato. The potatoes that I made on Thursday, they were all relatively small Yukon Golds.
You have any leftovers?
No, we finished them off with lunch.
Yeah, they were just like little
They're
round potatoes.
like Yukon Golds, about like
I
that.
took a picture with my phone.
No, she took a picture with her phone. Anyways, scrubbed them, threw them into a roasting pan with some grapeseed oil, salt, and my butt glitter seasoning. Sealed it up with parchment paper and foil, and actually sealed it up around the edges. And then, oh, there we go. Your phone just vibrated at me. There. It looked like that. And I put them in a 300-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 2 hours, sealed up like that. And so they kind of roasted, seamed, and really slowly. But when they came out, yeah, it was just like, I tested them by, using a needle effectively, and I was just like, ah. It went through super smooth. There was no resistance. It just, and yeah, cut them open, you know, So, but yeah, no. So that's what I use for those, and it's a little bit like that. Hand cooking night. I heard wrong. Oh no, it's totally fine. I'd be stupid. You're good. Yeah, beignets. I have never made beignets. That would be an interesting thing to try. I think the last time I had beignets...
Oh, they're at Downtown Disney.
Downtown Disney.
They have a mini... The famous beignet place in the French Quarter, they have like a mini window at Downtown Disney.
Yeah, they got this mini... And so, yeah, we got beignets with some friends of ours. This is, again, when we were living in
They're okay. I can't say they're my favorite.
Well,
I mean,
they were good.
I've had fresh on the French Quarter. Like, they're not bad.
Pretty tasty.
But I can't say they're my favorite. What?
Heresy. No. Kidding.
I'm just
Kidding.
saying.
That's
look,
fine. Hey.
I'd rather have a Chuckles Voodoo Donut, okay? There, I said it. Chuckles is the Snickers bar. They make this Snickers version.
Oh.
It's a yeast-based donut with caramel and chocolate and peanuts. It's delicious.
We got salad too, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm not going to eat anymore until I have salad.
Well, I imagine I'm going to go back for seconds and thirds.
Yeah.
Of this later. Since I think the plan is continue to watch Orphan Black tonight. We're on...
Rest.
Yeah. I think that's the plan. Orphan Black. We're in season 5. We're almost done. And, I mean, we've seen it before. We're just rewatching it. Because we can. My wife and I just had this conversation today. Man, I'm just not a donut guy. The only kind I enjoy is a Boston cream filled. Okay.
I like Boston.
If I never ate another donut in my life, I would still live happy.
See, and that's how I'd be, okay? I just... Beignets, like,
I
can't say it's like...
So, for me, like, donuts, I'm like, okay, you know, I can't say that I crave them. It's, you know, if we go to, like, Voodoo or something like that, it's like, okay, cool, you know. But I don't... I can't say that if I never had a donut again, I would be terribly sad.
True. Okay, so then what's the food? What's the food that if you never had that again, I would be sad?
I would be sad?
Yeah.
Fried chicken.
That was fine.
Oh, that's no question. If I never had fried chicken again, I don't want to be alive. That just,
I don't know.
Have I made donuts?
No,
I have.
not here.
It was when I was in school.
No.
Yeah, I've made yeast raised donuts before that we fried up, and then
Good call.
Yeah.
St. Louis style barbecue ribs. That would be awesome.
Okay.
What would be something that like I can't live without?
You?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Chocolate cake, maybe.
Shaggy dog rolls.
What is
Accidental Chaos. You're gonna have to explain. I'm not familiar with the shaggy dog roll.
I don't know. The way we eat so much different food all the time. I mean, the last time I ate jambalaya, it's been more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it'll be a year again before we have something. It's just, I mean, other than like pizza, we have semi-regularly, but we can't say pizzas. I like pizza, don't get me wrong, but
It's not a thing that if you never had it again, you would be really upset.
no. Yeah.
Chocolate?
That's why I'm like, maybe a chocolate cake. That would be good.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna need to make a chocolate cake.
Ooh,
Mmm.
maybe In-N-Out.
Oh. That's a pretty good one. I make those at least once a month, 2 to 3 racks of them. Nice. How, so, at least if I'm understanding you correctly, I'd be stupid. and please feel free to elaborate if I'm getting it wrong. So, St. Louis style rib, it's a spare rib that has had the top part cut off. So my question for you though is like, because I'm not familiar with an actual St. Louis style.
Isn't it the?
Is it? I mean, do you make them?
The rack is cut a certain.
Yes,
way.
that's what a St. Louis rib is. It's spare ribs that have had that top portion cut
you
off.
Just said that.
Yes, I did
Sorry.
just say that.
Sorry, I was reading.
That's okay. Shrimp tempura. Oh, okay. Shaggy dog roll. Shrimp tempura with avocado and crab meat, rolled and topped with eels and sauce, mayo, and oh, dude,
That sounds amazing.
that sounds like
I'm down to come.
my mouth is very happy, but that sounds friggin' delicious.
I like
Sushi is
a lot.
sushi is another thing that'd be up there for me.
Yeah. Dim sum. That's it.
Mm.
Dim sum's my all-time favorite food, but we only get it once a year on Dim Sum Saturday, which we'll have to change this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to change this year.
Dim Sum
For
Saturday
reasons.
is the Saturday by my birthday.
Yes, for reasons.
But we should go to Dim Sum soon because we need to pick out a good Dim Sum
That's
Saturday
true.
place.
Because so since dim sum is her favorite thing, and it's usually kind of a to-do. The place that we were going in Portland, they've since the beginning of the pandemic and everything, they shut down for a while, then they opened up for to-go service only, and ever since, it's sort of like the quality's kind of gone downhill. Like the place, when you go in there, last time we were in there, it smelled like musty, and it was just like,
it was just limited menu.
yeah, it was a
and
very limited menu. It wasn't,
it just
sitting
wasn't
there.
the same quality.
Eel sauce and spicy mayo. Oh, nice.
So we gotta find a new place.
Kabayaki is what they put on unagi. Yep. Unagi being freshwater eel.
Unagi's delicious.
Unagi is one of my very favorites. This is my dessert sushi. It's what I get at like the very end. Because, like I said, it's my dessert sushi.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's it, dim sum. And chocolate cake.
But yeah, we gotta find a new place.
We do.
We used to go in LA, in Chinatown. There's a really famous spot called the Empress Pavilion. It's in the heart of Chinatown. The plaza that it's in has been used in a bunch of movies. There's a chase scene, and I think is it Lethal Weapon 3? I think it is. That's like on the elevator in that plaza. And then, to be honest, like the main kind of strip in this plaza in Chinatown has been used in so many TV shows.
Yeah.
And it was used in Rush Hour,
Numbers.
I lost track of how many times. Like there's a statue of Bruce Lee that's there.
These ribs that I'd be.
Okay, so they're also
Stupid
cooked
sounds
faster.
awesome.
St. Louis style do not fall off the bone. Actually pretty easy. Seasoned about an hour before you cook them. Then you put them on a baking sheet and cover in aluminum foil, cooking at 300 for an hour to an hour and a half. Then pull them out, throw them on the grill to crisp them up on the outside for about 10 to 15 minutes on each side. Okay,
Yes, please.
I get that. And it makes sense that you're covering up at first. Usually there's a thin layer of sweet barbecue sauce added for the last 5 minutes. Higher heat to caramelize. Yeah, so then that, because of the sugar content in the barbecue sauce, so then that way it doesn't burn. So yeah, okay, that style and cooking method makes total sense to me, because the covering up of the sheet, you're getting the heat in there, but you're trapping in the moisture, so you're kind of like combi steaming roasting, so then that way it can help break down the connective tissues, render the fat, and then obviously throwing them on the grill because color equals flavor. So it makes total sense, and the fact that they're quicker is excellent.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a rack of ribs in the fridge that I need to make.
I think you should do that.
I think I know what I'm doing for dinner tomorrow.
Woo! We haven't had ribs in a long time.
It has been a while. And they happen to be a St. Louis cut, so.
Even better.
I kind of hate the fall off the ribs. Okay.
Yeah.
They usually are. If the meat is falling off the bone, if the meat is falling off the bone, at that point it usually tends to be pretty dry. But it's also one of those things that if you can twist the bone, that's a good sign that the connective tissue and everything is sort of rendered, but you still can slice them and get a chew. At least that's my preferred also.
We usually have country style ribs a lot.
Yeah, but that's pork shoulder.
Yeah. Good boy, being gentle.
Salad actually hits the spot.
Over this way. Jake. Come on, big guy.
Here you go.
Is it dressed?
Mm-hmm. It's got rice vinegar on it.
Rice vinegar.
Yeah, because the brightness of the vinegar just kind of cuts through everything, which is nice, but it's not so strong that you're like, oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh! Come on, that was funny.
I love you 2% more. That's a thing that we do, is just like, I love you like this percentage more.
We quantify our love.
Yeah, we quantify it with actual numbers. It's like, oh, I love you
And
like...
there are times it goes negative.
There are times that it does go negative.
Or how much would you love me more or less if I did blah blah blah? Because then it's like, ooh, test the waters.
That's a very valid question. It's like, would you love me more or less if I did this? Like, oh, okay. You would love me 20% less.
Okay, I won't cut my hair that short. Fine.
Last thing I need is you looking like G.I. Jane and then, coming up and slapping me.
I can barely reach.
With your tiny T-Rex arms.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Let's see. Oh, wait. Let's see.
No. Any questions or anything? I highly recommend you make this. And I would assume you could add stuff to it.
Oh, yeah, you'd asked me that question earlier. Crawfish is a super popular addition to it.
Yes, please.
Really, it's... Yeah, to be honest, like, chicken andouille, like, shrimp or crawfish is the most typical. I suppose there's no reason why you couldn't throw in...
I saw my friend, they did ham.
Yeah, ham, like tasso ham or something like that. Ham would be something that you could totally throw in, as opposed to like the andouille if you can't find it. Okay, that's
both.
Okay, if you have ham and andouille, there you go. So like if you can't find andouille, for instance, right? If you just got like a good smoky ham, diced it up and threw it in there, and then I would just add a little bit more of that creole seasoning, and you should be good to go. I have tried them foil wrapped in a smoker for a few hours as well. Not the best. I like a little bit of char on the edges. No, I'm right there with you. Some baked beans. Baked beans would be something that you would put off to the side. I've not seen a jambalaya recipe that actually has beans in it. Black-eyed peas would probably be...
Well, red beans, if you're going to put beans, I would think red beans.
Red beans.
Red beans and rice?
Yeah, like red beans and rice, something like that.
Hey.
Something like that would probably be...
Hey, it's your food. You play with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But, the recipe that I have posted on the Discord it's pretty spot on. I like it, and so I don't really... this is one of the few things that I won't really deviate from too much. And if I do, it's just it'll be the same ingredients where the amounts will be like slightly tweaked, but not to a great extent. Like, to be honest, like I would love to make this with crawfish sometime. I think with crawfish with this would be amazing.
Can we get crawfish around here?
Maybe. Actually, you know what? I bet you if I went to...
We go to Louisiana.
Yeah, processing. I'm thinking of like one of the Vietnamese markets that's down in Portland. That might be
Portland proper.
Yeah, Portland proper. If we went to, if I went to one of the Vietnamese markets down in Portland proper, that would I might be able to find them there. Yeah, but that would be kind of the big thing. So, at any rate, I had flipped over for a moment to kind of see if anybody else was on, to kind of send a raid over, but I didn't really see anybody. At least nobody on that I knew or that I followed or anything like that, to really send it. Most of the channels that I see that are on for me that are streaming are like always on channels, like the MST3K. There's a Whose Line It or Is It Anyway 24/7 stream. There's a Kung Fu Movie 24-hour stream. Stuff like that. So I think we'll probably call it there. Thank you to everybody that came today. Thank you to the lurkers. Thank you for the resubs. Thank you for the bits. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much. So,
True.
Yeah. It's been fun. I will see y'all Tuesday. Oh, really quick. Next Saturday, I will not be streaming. Yeah, there's the thing. Our neighborhood is having this giant garbage collection that we've been waiting for 2 years.
Yeah, they shut it down because of COVID.
They shut it down because of the Rona, but they're bringing it back, and I know it sounds like, well, who cares? But no,
we have a small pile.
we have a multiple carloads that need to go.
Yeah.
Just
So
from
that's-
any number of things, including the previous owners that
left a lot of crap.
left a lot of crap.
Like broken.
Yeah,
office
broken
chair.
stuff. Yeah, stuff that just doesn't normally go in the garbage. It's a big community garbage day, so like we'll probably be, starting relatively early doing that and taking, I don't know, I would imagine about 6 carloads worth of stuff over.
I don't know if we have that much stuff.
I don't know, there's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But
There's a lot of stuff.
yeah, it's a lot of stuff, and by the time that, that's done, I'm just gonna be like,
That's true. It's 2 years worth.
we're getting takeaway. So
Yeah, takeaway it is.
we're getting takeaway.
We're
So
happy to stream with you as we eat our takeaway.
yeah, we'll eat our takeaway with y'all if you want, but at any rate, no, I'll definitely be back for Tuesday and Thursday next week. Nothing on Saturday, and hopefully the first of the reaction videos will be going up next week. I'm hoping.
And
I'll definitely.
Tuesday you'll have your little thingy made.
Yes, Tuesday we'll have the art project that should not be made. It'll
Well, I
be fun.
think it'll be okay now that I know what it is.
I don't know. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
And it's for
How to plate takeout. Here it is. Oh, in my mouth. So, at any rate. So, thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Have a good weekend. Yeah, if you ever have any questions about anything, definitely hit me up on the Discord. Yes, I'm gonna start doing food reaction videos, Accidental Chaos. Be it cooking videos, some of those, but most of the ones that I'm probably gonna be reacting to are gonna be like street food videos and things like that. But I've got like a pretty extensive list of channels that I've subscribed to and have subscribed to for a long time, and so there's a plethora of content that
Although if there's a cooking
I think would be-
video you'd like him to react to,
yes, exactly.
send it along.
Exactly. If you see like a cooking video or something, you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Feel free to post it in the Discord. There's a channel specifically for food reaction videos and stuff like that. So yeah, you can totally post it there. But yeah, I'm going to start recording them and initially just put them up on YouTube. Depending on how things go, it may end up being something that, you know, we stream on Twitch and then cut it down and put it up on YouTube. But initially, I think we'll just start out with YouTube stuff, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So that's the plan. Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody again.
Yeah.
Accidental Chaos, Matt Kelly, Scott2572, Ivy Stupid, G-Money, Lumpy Pickle, You're Kidding Me, Avocado Green KitchenAid, Night Songs. Thank you to the new followers. Oh yeah, Bethulu. So, have a good night, morning, afternoon. Oh yeah, Chubby Viking. Anybody else? Wolfie Metal Beast. Anybody else that I forgot? I apologize. Thanks so much, folks. Have a good one, and I'll see you all Tuesday. Take care.